Well, welcome. I appreciate you guys taking the time and allowing for me to talk about Down Home Ranch. A little bit about me. I'm Barry Hamilton. I'm a clinical social worker. The first time I volunteered out here at the ranch was in 2002. The ranch came across my path a couple of times where I was working with someone on college campus and their mom worked out here. Then it came across again whenever there was another service fraternity that I was with that talked about the ranch. So it drew me in. So I volunteered out here for many years. Then I worked as a direct support professional for a couple of years. Then I moved away from the ranch and worked with people with IDD who were in crisis situations in the Austin, Travis County, Texas area. And then came back to the ranch here 7 years as the operations officer. And in that time, we doubled the number of people that we serve in our residential program. And just this past April became the executive director. So what I'm going to do is go through and tell you guys about our program. So the history of the ranch, it started as many intentional communities do with a need. Jerry and Judy, both of them were academics, had a child later in life, and they were looking at what was out there. They visited a ton of places around Texas and the US, and then what they landed on was the intentional community. The first program that the ranch did was a day program, and that was in '93, so shortly after founding or actually finding the property. And then in '95 was the first time that we did ranch camp. And these are all things that Jerry and Judy found other places supporting people with IDD who were doing this type of work around the US. And it always comes from humble beginnings. So in '95, there's the Texas National Guards about 15 minutes up the road. Jerry, in his way, went to go talk with them and convince them to allow for us to use tents and cots. So that was the first ranch camp. Now, this is Texas in the summer, so of course it was 100 degrees. Then the residency program started in 2002, and that was with the first house here on the ranch. So there's 410 acres total. And this was the first original survey tract for this part of Texas. There's a lot of great history that's out here. It's called the Post Oak Savanna. On the back part of the property, there's a dry creek bed called the Yawa Creek. And there's remnants in history of Native American populating this area. So over the last 10 years, like I was saying, we've doubled in the number of people that we were serving in our residential program. It went from 12 to 23 to 30, and now we have capacity to serve 50 people in all of our residential programs, which I'll talk about briefly or in a few minutes. Then, of course, our social enterprise. I mean, this is really what funds our mission and provides meaningful jobs to ranchers. So this first picture here on top is the first event that they actually had out at the ranch. Then right below, this is us reskinning some of our greenhouses and putting up some walls. And then I'll also talk about how we use a social enterprise to fund the program. So our demographics in our residency program and our day program, we serve 62 people. And this was of end of last year. And we just started serving an additional 4 people. And this is really based on capacity and need of the people that we currently have in our day program. So we're looking at about 50% have Down syndrome, 31%, this is in addition to people with Down syndrome, 31% CP, and then other developmental disabilities. And then how we're serving other people is we do overnight camp and day camp. And this is part of our social enterprise. This year, we're looking to serve 253 campers from 10 states, and we have some people coming internationally. And the services that we provide here are during the week, so it's the whole week, weekend, and then also do day camps. And then the thing that we've been focusing on recently is hosting different groups and being very intentional about it. And this is part of our vocational programming. So just in 2023, we served 338 people in field trips and outdoor education. And this year we're on track to go 400 even to 500 potentially. So the programs that we have, Medicaid funded, we have intermediate care facilities. So this is the ICF. We have 4 6-person homes that are located on the ranch. So if you guys go to Google Maps and you type in our address, you can focus in and see where the village is, and you can see how the village is a circle. And then we have each one of these ICF homes. And throughout there, there's staff housing, but also we have cottages and we also have micro homes. So the other Medicaid program, Home Community-Based Services, and this is the waiver program in Texas. We have 1 3-person home in Manor, which is it's Austin, Manor, Elgin. So 1 in Manor, and then we have 3 in Elgin, which is about 15 minutes away from us. And one of those is a 4-bed home where we have overnight awake staff because there's people in that home that have medical needs that require it. And also all of the people that are in these programs come to the ranch every single day for day programming and vocational and work. So with our program, we also have private pay. This was something that here in the Austin area, there's a couple of the organizations that really focused on providing quality housing for people who needed it. And so this was something that whenever we saw that working, we went to investigate, and it became a really good model for us. So currently we have 6 of these homes. These are, we say completely independent households, meaning that it's only one person like in the micro home, but it's with support as needed. And what this looks like is these micro homes don't have a kitchen, but a full kitchen, but they do have, depending on what the person's needs are and their ability, is we can have microwaves, we can have convection ovens and other types of cooking apparatus. And most of the time, people who are living in the micro homes, they may need a little bit of support with medication, and we can provide that. But help is always a phone call away. A person can literally walk out on the porch and say, "Help, I need someone to help me." And more than likely someone would hear that and be able to come help. And what we look at is people have access to staffing during the day, and then in the evening they would just call up if they needed that. So this suite style house, we have 2 of these on site, and these are 2-bedroom home, private bathrooms, and they have a shared full kitchen and laundry. And then we also have a residential group home that was one of our ICFs at one point. And then we're using that for a private pay 3-bed group home. And that's just based on how many people in Texas can be there, because we don't have an ALF license for that home. Our programming, what we've done is we focused on these 4 core tenets that we use in day programming. And this was done by talking with parents, talking with the ranchers, campers, staff. And as we were getting this information, it kind of fell into these categories pretty nicely. So looking at continuing education, and why we decided to call it continuing education is because we did call it classes. And one of the ranchers, whenever we posted the schedule, he didn't really go to the classes. And whenever I asked him why, he said, "I've already done high school. I've already done, a little bit of college, not interested in going to classes anymore." So what we had to do is rethink that and focus it on adult education. So that's what we did there. And then looking at our vocational program, now this is going to be, at one point we did sub minimum wage. We've decided about 10, 15 years ago to no longer do that. So the ranchers who are working in our program at minimum wage or above, some work a few hours, some work up to part-time. The big part, or the program that supports the most ranchers in vocational, is going to be our horticulture program. Last year, we grew and sold 14,000 poinsettias. This year, we're planning for 15, potentially 16,000. And this is where about 50%, a little bit over, of the ranchers work in horticulture. And in addition to that, in our vocational program, we have our barn where we have multiple horses. We have many horses, not many ponies. We have chickens, we have donkeys, and we're about to acquire some goats and probably a guinea or 2. We'll see how that goes. And all of these are opportunities for the ranchers to make money. And this is what we were looking at with those field trips and outdoor education, is that the ranchers who are working with the mini ponies, they're actually doing the programming that we do during our summer camp. So they're actually leading it. Then with our field trips and outdoor education, the ranchers are leading those activities too. And many need no additional staff support. So with the mini horses, what it would look like is putting the bridle on them, taking them to like the round pen. The campers are engaged with them, or the outdoor education participants. They're brushing them, they're picking their hoofs, they're learning about the different parts of the horses, and all of that's led by the rancher. And then we also have retreat facilities whenever we're not using our camp facilities for camp in the summer. And then we also have weekend camps and some day camps. We rent them out to churches and other types of organizations that use them for retreats. So that there are ranchers that they maintain certain buildings, they clean the buildings before and after, and they develop a relationship with the retreatants too. We have the jobs on the ranch, but we also partner with the local communities. Elgin, Texas is about 15 minutes away. Taylor, Texas is about 15 minutes away. And we have ranchers that work in both of those cities. So our community engagement, this is going to be, we really listen closely to what the ranchers are interested in. And weekly, we do a calendar and a schedule. One thing that just got on the schedule as of last week is that in Texas, there's lots of rivers, and Texans like to float rivers. So that's actually on the schedule for next month, which is going to be really interesting. I don't think that we've done it as a group before. Really looking at what interests people have, what they want to experience, and trying to get them closer to those things. And then really people develop hobbies and interests based off of those experiences. Another example of this is that there was one rancher who worked in the vocational program, worked in our wood shop, never picked up a woodworking tool. Now you wouldn't be able to get him out of the wood shop, selling stuff. Anytime that we have conversations about some community engagement outings, usually woodcraft or other stores that sell woodworking supplies is usually on that list. Then, of course, volunteering. This is at the animal shelter. The city of Elgin and Taylor and Bastrop, which are close by, have embraced the ranchers. They volunteer with the Main Street manager in the city of Elgin. So we manage, the ranchers manage all of the flower beds that are like down Main Street. Also pretty active in any of the festivals that the city has. Even yesterday, we had the president of the Chamber of Commerce came out, and she's known many of the ranchers. She went to school with some of the ranchers, so she knows them. And the relationship that she has, as we were like, going to certain parts of the property and engaging with people, it's telling that not only are the ranchers part of the community, but they're valued parts of the community. So social enterprise, this is our sellable product. So this is Brian on the left. This is the man that never picked up a woodworking tool until he came to the ranch. You can actually go on our website. We use Square, that you can actually purchase some of his items. It's really a ton of things. It's all seasonal. He does a lot of seasonal stuff. There's about 5 ranchers that work with a couple of volunteers and really produce some great wood products. Then we have our ranch gardens. This is Alan. Right now we have 12 greenhouses, and the baby poinsettias are sitting in the warehouse, and they're currently being cared for, and we're starting to plant those. So our greenhouses are going to be really full soon. And then we have chickens. We have 100 chickens. There's ranchers that manage the chickens. And then one of the things that we're going to expand in the fall is doing independent chicken tractors. And this is based on an interest that one of the ranchers brought up, that he wanted to manage his own flock. So we've always done laying hens, but now we're going to do meat birds. So we're going to see how that goes. The turnarounds pretty quick. So we're going to learn how to process them and everything right here on the ranch. So ranch camp started in 95, and I would say 95% of the people that live here at the ranch came through camp. And it was an opportunity for people to come and build community, to learn about themselves, and to know that this is the place where they wanted to be. So right now we have day and overnight camp, and we have 1 week during summer that's for teens, 13 to 17. And then the other weeks of summer camp are for 18 plus. And we have these ratios that we have for overnight, but we never go above 10. So the camps that we have weekend camps. We do 10 weekends a year. We have both teen and adult, and this is going to be from Friday until Sunday. And really the reason we focused on this is because we want to be able to provide an opportunity for caregivers and families to use respite. That's a Medicaid program or a Medicaid service that is highly underutilized, especially in the state of Texas. I'm not sure what it looks like across the nation, but I think I could draw the same conclusion. We had to do some additional certifications to be able to do that. And it is a lot of paperwork, but being able to have people use that service, be here on the ranch, and figure out an intentional community is for them, well worth it. So then the week-long camps, we have 6 of those. They're 5 nights. And then in addition to that, something that came up last year is that there were people who weren't able, for some reason, not able to stay overnight at camp. If it was a medical concern or if it was a comfort concern. So what we did is we adapted. And so not only are we doing overnight residential camps, what it's called, but we're also doing day camp in addition to that. So people are still able to come. Some people, if they need it, can actually bring their support staff with them. And then we'll focus on those support staff to then teach them how to take these activities that the person they're supporting enjoys back to their home and back to their community. And then day camp, this is kind of what we laid over summer camp, but we're doing this for week and weekend. And we've partnered with our local, they call it local IDD authority here in Texas, or developmental center it's called in other places like the county hub. And we partnered with them to focus on people with intellectual disability who've been in the crisis system to be able to come out and access the ranch, access community, and access nature. So really trying to find multiple ways to be able to engage people, give people a sense of purpose, and then provide a break for caregivers. So this is what our finances look like. And this is 2023. We just wrapped up our audit. So net program, this is going to include all 3 of our residential models. So it's the Medicaid and the private pay model. Contributions, and this is going to be unrestricted and restricted donations. I was actually going to look at the average of what type of donations these were. I would say, just kind of looking at it briefly, this is the $10 to $50 ongoing donation that happens monthly is a big portion of this. Then with our plants and our product sales, and this is going to be here on site. So we do wholesale. So we're selling through a broker and they're actually selling to nurseries, or we're selling through our retail shop or selling online. Also, we have plant sales where people come out to the ranch. This is an opportunity for families to bring their loved ones to see what it's about, to even make sure that the drive is good, right? But all of our plant and product sales, and then cost of products. What we had to do this last year is that our sales increased, so we actually have to parse this out. This is actually what we paid in for the product, and then what our sales were on top of that. And then ranch camp, special events are going to be smaller events that we do. We just recently did at one of the historic dance halls here in Texas. It's called Copeland Dance Hall. We did a boot, scoot, and boogie where we had a great MC came out and hosted it, and we had a lot of folks from all over Central Texas come and do a dance competition. It was an amazing night, and I thought that I was going to learn how to do some actual line dancing, but whenever the professionals started doing it, I very quickly sat down and just watched. Then we have our investment incomes and then other income. And over on the expense, our program services, this is going to be our day pro, any service that's going to touch one of the ranchers is included in this. Management in general, we do percentages of this, and this is broken out on our tax return or a 990. If any of you guys are interested in doing that, send me a message and I can forward you the most recent one. And then of course, fundraising, what our expenses with there. So changing needs of the ranchers. Our average age is 35 to 40, and we know that people with disability or intellectual disability, their body ages a little faster. So we're looking now at what is it going to be like whenever people need to have more accessibility in their home. And looking back in the early 2000s, whenever the buildings were being built and the homes were being conceptualized, um, it wasn't really a consideration on what that's going to look like as people are getting older. So we're having to adapt. So right now what we're doing is we have one home, and it's going to be that private pay group home I was talking about. We're looking at that for incorporating some universal design. Um, Currently, we're in the process of getting some quotes to look at what it would be like to concrete a car area, ensuring that we have ramps to go in the front and the back of the house, looking at zero transition and walk-in showers. And looking at this for all of the homes, I mean, this is going to be one of the capital projects that we're going to have to be working on over the next couple of years. And then currently we're reviewing the accessibility of our barn and chicken area. We want for more people to have access to it, but also just as people are aging and mobility is becoming problematic for some, we really want to look at that. We just wrote a grant to look into it. And then also knowing that the direct support professionals are going to have to get additional rancher specific training around what their needs are. We're working towards that. Our nursing staff creates that, trains staff, and then does some competency testing. We really want, we know, and we want, and we know that the direct support professional is the content expert and really supporting people to have the best, most full life possible. In Texas, the regulatory environment has been quite interesting. Recently, I'd say over the last year and a half, there was a change to the Texas Administrative Code. And this is going to be the Texas interpretation of federal law and other inputs. And the thing that was done through lots of advocacy was removing language that was overly restrictive interpretation of the CMS settings rule. And it was 8 words in the rule that did not allow for people to use HCS services in an intentional community setting. I know I'm way oversimplifying that, but that's how it's communicated. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I'll just say that because those words were removed, people that have the waiver are now able to choose where they want to live. And if they are country folks or they just enjoy living in a country setting, the ranch is now an option. Heightened scrutiny did not apply to the ranch based on the criteria that the state of Texas had, which was a benefit to us. There was an intentional community that requested heightened scrutiny just to go through the process to prove how non-institutional the intentional communities really are. And then recently, as part of this change, the state of Texas no longer did day habilitation services, and then they moved to what they called individualized skills and socialization, or also lovingly referred to as ISS. And what this did is it ensured that now our day program, we're contracted through the state, we have a license, there's certain criteria that we have to meet. So it is an additional burden, but we would not be able to serve people in the waiver in a day setting if we did not do this type of license. So I think the short is with the regulatory environment is that people with the state of Texas, I believe, are now seeing residential providers as partners, and we need more options, not less options. And so really being able to change and get those words out of the text administrative code are really going to open a lot of doors for intentional communities in Texas and really allowing for people to choose where they want to live. There are a million stories I could tell, but what I chose to do here is look at Alice. That's not her real name. Before coming to the ranch, very isolated, reports of being depressed, not having friends, not having a peer group, and quite a few interactions with police because she was unhappy and she was communicating what she needed, and she may not have had the words to express it. So after coming to the ranch, she actually came through ranch camp. She came through the program I was telling you about that we partnered with to support people that were in that crisis system in the Austin Travis County area. And whenever she came here, it was first for a weekend camp or a day camp with that group. And then after that, she came to a weekend camp, and now she comes to summer camp. And now living here in one of our programs, in one of our residential programs. So self-report of having friends, developing interest, woodcraft is a big ticket item. And then really just being able to be creative and design and create these desirable products. And she has a boyfriend that she can share life with. Another story here, and it kind of talks about the power of community, is a few months ago, one of the ranchers' dog had passed away, and very attached to the dog. The dog is her child. I was going to say was like, but is her child. The dog passed away and very upset. And I said, well, whenever you're feeling this way, who do you have to call? She named 2 other ranchers before she named a paid staff. And that shows that she has community and being able to reach out to her community. And that is a litmus test for telling me that the ranch is doing exactly what the ranch has intended to do. So what is it going to look like? What's it going to look like for us over the next few years? We're really interested in looking at short-term residential. So being able to have people live here for an extended period of time in our private pay program has been great. But really what we've seen is that families are really using it as a transition, from their home to what's next, or maybe it's giving their child some sort of like college living experience. So currently we do respite in our residential program, and that we do for 2 to 14 days. In our short-term residential, what we're looking at is the 15 days to 3 months. And then we're really thinking about this independent living experience. So looking at 3 months to a year, and that's really to meet that need of what parents are looking for doing transition. Also, more ranchers in camp program jobs. And these are going to be whenever camp's coming out, field trips. We're doing outdoor education with certain school groups. The ranchers are actually doing the work. Many of them have done it for years and years. And just the smiles and the interaction that people are having and that the ranchers are having doing this type of work is it's gratifying on many levels, but it's quality work that people really value. And then simply just giving more people access to the ranch. So I would say in my time with the ranch and also being able to work alongside Jerry and Judy, the founders, and then the next executive director who came on, and I'm now the third, and being able to see just the growth, it really comes from being a person-centered organization. And that comes directly from the top. It's going to come from every facet of the organization, but it has to start with the founder, the executive director, the COO. So really listening closely to people that you support and adapting program. We've done this many times over. We had a cattle program that we had for a number of years. There were 5 ranchers who worked tirelessly with the animals, and we did meat processing at a USDA facility. We sold meat here from the ranch. We sold cattle at live auction. And one of the ranchers moved back with their family. They moved to a different part of the state. And at that point, the other ranchers were like, we're interested, but like we're more interested in the chickens or other types of animals. So we decided to no longer do the cattle. We'll revisit at some point, but even being able to make those types of business decisions for social enterprise based on what the ranchers need, want, and desire and what they're talking about is really important. Also, community, absolutely. But the part that we need to make sure, though, is that the people that we support are accepted for who they are, and they're supported and they're accepted by the people who are supporting them. So making sure that staff have education. The National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals, we use their curriculum. It's a great tool to be able to walk DSPs through that process and being person-centered and listening closely. And really ensuring that person-centered planning and practices is ingrained into the culture. Also, plan and dream big, big, big. Every time that I come on the ranch, I am amazed that this place was able to exist. I'm amazed at all of the hard work that people put into it every single day. And I'll tell you, it all comes back to that interaction that I had with the rancher, where they were able to name two people that are peers whenever they're feeling upset, rather than just naming the paid support right off the bat. Also, really get to know your local and state reps. We have many state reps that are local to us, that have local offices. So we're inviting them out often. We just had someone, one of the House representatives, come a couple months ago. And we've had a senator who is on the books to come. He's changed it a couple times, but still the invite's there. And also, whenever things come up that are pressing for the IDD population with policy, it is a quick phone call, it's a quick email, and I am confident that the things that are important to the people that live here at the ranch and their families and the staff are getting communicated, because the representatives know who we are. All right, so I'm going to open it for Q&A.